It's just about time to say bye-bye to January, with 1 month finally down in what seemed like an eternity. That really was a long few weeks, I'll tell you that. All things considered though, the games that came and went were actually pretty sweet. I can't argue that there was a glimmer of hope with the new releases that jump-started 2022. If this is a sign of games to come, we can zero in and just look forward to some great indoor playtime. I know how that sounds, don't judge me. February is looking pretty good with a variety of ports, remasters, and best of all, new titles to sink your teeth into. Among the almost 20 different releases, we're bringing you our top 5, the ones you should probably throw your money at. We know you're still recovering from January, but it couldn't hurt to be prepared, right? Right, let's go. Hey guys, I'm Nicey with Ungeek, and we're dropping you 5 highly anticipated games coming this February 2022 that you absolutely can't miss.
Long time ago, Walt's hurt her. He took her from me, and I want him to tell me where she is.
Well, that kind of information is expensive.
The much-awaited sequel to everyone's zombie hacking a parkour party is finally here and on every platform, no less. Hey, imagine that. A game 6 years in the making, the story picks up 20 years after the first Dying Light. This time, you're the new guy, Aiden Caldwell. You have to run, jump, and shoot your way through the city. Yep, that's the name. Just doing what you can to survive with what looks like to be the modern medieval ages. No electricity, no high-tech gadgets, and just a whole lot of zombies. It's been 20 years, guys. Take a break already. The open world setting is what makes Dying Light 2 just so enjoyable, both to run around in and just stare at. While the city is already vast enough, there's also a very clear difference between the green, tree-filled rooftops and the barren, zombie wasteland below. The attention to detail is just impeccable. The well-placed obstacles and structures deliver a very satisfying platforming experience, especially with the grappling hook and that brand new paraglider. As long as, the zombies can't fly as well, we'll be fine. The dynamic mix between brutal melee combat and parkour survivability make a comeback, but even better. You can either stand and fight or become completely untouchable with a wide array of moddable weapons, useful tools, and fully upgradable skill tree. Doesn't matter if it's day or night, you'll manage. The RPG elements don't end with the skill tree though. Rival factions aim to take control of the city, and picking a side will reward you with a set of unique perks, courtesy of a home base. Story-wise, it's also nice to know that certain decisions will have a different effect on the game moving forward. Even if the effects won't be too drastic, that always counts for replayability. Dying Light 2 is a good step forward in the franchise, with an intriguing story to unfold, great gameplay all around, and night times that will never be the same, totally worth it.
ヘッドフォン野郎を倒せるってのは何だっていいんだ。
キングオブファイターズの開催が発表されました。
いきなりなんだよお前。
チャンネルはそのままで。
いいか、私はな。リーダーは私だからな。
In the sea of Street Fighters, Smash Bros, and Guilty Gears, we tend to forget about the King of Fighters. You could say we're usually taken by surprise. It's been a good 6 years since the last installment, and King of Fighters loyalists have been clamoring for the story to continue, and it did, in the most epic fashion. The packed roster of all-time favorites is back, and everyone who wasn't a big boss is here. Sorry, Geese, we still love you. The story revolves around 2 new faces, Shune and Isla, and picks up after the very explosive events of KOF 14, where you quite literally brought the house down. Now, with the terrifying, grabby-handed Fire Demon verse causing trouble again, it's up to you to get in there, kick some malevolent ass, and continue the franchise. I mean, to save the world. Yeah, that's what I meant. While graphics get a sweet overhaul, there are no bells and whistles here, my friend. Just refined, seamless combat gameplay expected of this long-standing franchise. Like that old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. KOF 15 does exactly that and then some. You still get that sweet 3-fighter goodness, and everyone is looking mighty fine. I mean, just look at them. This new sheen and polish don't affect gameplay whatsoever, as everyone still hits just as quick and just as hard. so satisfying. The Shatter Strike parry system and one-button rush mode also make a sweet comeback, right in time for any newcomers looking to give the game a try. People often forget how we had to actually make pretzels with our thumbs on the D-pad back in the Fatal Fury days. Yep, we've truly come a long way. This is still in essence a very competitive fighting game, so let's not forget the variety of online modes including ranked match, casual match, room match, and online training, everything you need to be an actual king of fighters. Besides, for as long as Terry Bogard keeps checking up on us through the years, I'll be just fine.
And I have run out of time. The sacrifice I made was not enough. The dark gods still feed on our transgressions.
If you've come to destroy everything in your path, you've come to the right place. We welcome what looks like the perfect, bloody conclusion to the Total War Warhammer trilogy. There's a lot to unpack here, so hold on to your seats. What sets this one apart from the rest is the scope of the carnage. 2 words, gloriously violent. The real-time battles are spectacular. Compared to Warhammer's first and second titles under Total War, this one is by far the most picturesque in the bloodiest way possible. With this much attention to detail, it's easy to get lost in the chaos, unless, of course, you're an actual chaos god. Oh, speaking of, let's talk about the factions. There are 8 different factions to choose from, and all of them have their own special ways to dismember their enemies. Charming people, I'm sure. Everyone's favorite 4 Chaos Gods make an appearance as separate factions. Khorne, the Blood God, Tzeentch, the Changer of Ways, Nurgle, the Plague Father, and Slaanesh, the Dark Prince. Each of them have their terrifying armies to command, all specializing in certain areas of combat. Khorne is all about brutality and hellfire. Tzeentch uses magic and manipulation, Nurgle unleashes disease and decay, and Slaanesh is, really into leather and piercings. Hey, that's pretty scary on its own, to be honest. For Team Humanity, you have Grand Cathay, based on Imperial China, a proud race of warriors who enforce order above all and crush their enemies with ancient magic, alchemy, and a whole lot of dragons. The Kislev from the Great North are based on medieval Russia. They're a battle-hardened, gun-wielding faction that love the cold and hate the chaos. They worship Ursun, bear god of ice, who's in dire straits during the course of the game's story. Both the Cathay and Kislev have their own reasons to get a hold of Ursun, and you're tasked with finding that out. The Ogre Kingdoms make their arrival via DLC, and they mean business. They're enormous bruisers who crush and consume everything in their path and leave it an equally enormous mess when they leave. So, do you remember Ursun, that bear god? Yeah, they want to frickin' eat him. That's their objective. They want to eat a god. Now, stranger things have happened, not surprised at this point. Last but not least, we have Chaos Undivided, championed by the powerful Demon Prince, a literal game changer. You play as the Prince, RPG style. After giving him a name, you take units from any of the 4 Chaos Gods. Win battles and acquire different, swappable body parts, each with different stats, effects, and unholy blessings. You can worship one or all 4 Chaos Gods. Do what you can to be the demonic Frankenstein monster that you always wanted to be. The possibilities are endless. Now, if you're not too familiar with the Warhammer 40k lore, don't fret, you'll learn a lot as you progress through the game. Given how its universe is so massive, it's a good thing that each game in the series focuses on separate factions and storylines. This one is all about blood and chaos, and that's pretty straightforward. So, blood for the Blood God in 2022? Well, given how things have been going, why not?
I'm running out of time, Elizabeth. The land is dying. People are suffering. Soon, they'll starve.
Horizon Forbidden West is one of the most hyped games for 2022, and it's just so great that it comes out so early in the year. Hey, we're tired of waiting. With the massive success of Horizon Zero Dawn and the Frozen Wilds DLC on both the PS4 and PC, everyone has been hungry for a sequel. Now, it's a tall task to try and surpass what Zero Dawn brought to the table, making great use of vast, post-apocalyptic open world, smooth controls, unique characters and enemies, and a very compelling story through the eyes of Aloy. Oh, and Game of the Year, we can't forget that. Now, Guerrilla Games and Sony Interactive did a bang-up job in keeping information to a minimum and just teasing us with bits and pieces through trailers and photos. We know what's happened so far, and for those who already finished Zero Dawn, you also know what Silence did. This sets up an interesting story knowing Aloy's ties to Silence, plus the fact that he salvaged the thing you tried so hard to destroy. How this ties into the Forbidden West's mysterious plague has yet to be revealed. When we said that this game was hyped, we meant it. So far from what we've seen, Forbidden West takes the awesomeness of Zero Dawn and cranks it to 11. If you love the first game's open world and all its post-apocalyptic cybernetic glory, you'll love what comes next. The character design is gorgeous and the set pieces are breathtaking. The rolling hills, the vast plains, and the eerily majestic constructs that sprout out from the open world will leave you stunned. All this, plus a new story to unfold, make Horizon Forbidden West a game you should really consider picking up in February.
The shattering ensued, a war that wrought only darkness. The Elden Ring was broken. But by whom? And why?
We have saved the best for last, and we're sure you'll agree, especially when it comes to the hype. Winning the Game Award for Most Anticipated Game for 2 years straight definitely says something, and we're here to say a little more. Elden Ring is finally coming out, and we're bringing that hype. It all started when From Software and George R.R. Martin came together and produced a title that garnered a ton of hype at E3 2019. The showcase highlighted Elden Ring's beautiful setting in the Lands Between, which really takes a departure from the usual From Software setting. Imagine Lordaeron, but with a little bit of Westeros sprinkled on top. Very picturesque, very menacing. Now, I know there's a certain concern that people are worried about. Will Elden Ring just be another From Software Soulsborne game? Well, yes and no. And hey, that's a good thing. Unlike earlier FromSoft titles, Elden Ring will be completely open world once the game's story starts going. No longer are we limited to the linear nature that we're familiar with. It's all about exploration now. In terms of gameplay, you get most of what made FromSoft's titles great: seamless controls, intuitive game mechanics, and huge, terrifying enemies that will punish you for slacking off. Now, the Soulsborne franchise isn't the only contributor to Elden Ring's potential greatness. Sekiro pinched in too. You now have a dedicated stealth mechanic and a jump button in the Souls-like game, and we can't stress enough how great of a feeling this brings. Everything comes together just perfectly. While we do crack jokes every now and then about how A Song of Ice and Fire will likely never be finished, we can't deny the fact that George R.R. Martin is a master world builder. We're looking at the possibility of some interesting yet outlandish creatures and a very colorful cast of characters. It's a George R.R. Martin thing after all. He never disappoints in that area. Creating Elden Ring's setting and lore from the ground up is a mighty feat, and thankfully, FromSoft is right there to lend a hand. With that amount of great storytelling at work, we can only expect something straight out of a dream or maybe a nightmare. Either way, we know what we got ourselves into, and we love it. Elden Ring is definitely at the top of our list, and whether you're a Soulsborne speedrunner or just appreciate a game packed with tremendous amounts of lore, this is truly a must-have. So there you have it, our top 5 highly anticipated games coming out this February that you absolutely can't miss. Are you getting any of them? What are your top picks? Let us know in the comments down below. Again, guys, I am Nicey with Ungeek, and we'll catch you all next month.